Welcome to ASTG classes, and in today's class we will try to solve another interesting two important questions. The questions are Fibonacci series and palindrome number. These are the last two questions of this series which we have started the 10 question series related to the topic of conditional statement and iterative statement. So these are the question number 9 and 10. These questions are very much important from exam point of view. So, without wasting time, let's move to our system. So guys, let's start our practical class, okay? Now, before starting, let's first understand the Fibonacci series. Okay, so as we can see from the screen, Fibonacci series. So it is a series where each term is the sum of the two preceding ones. What does it mean? If you carefully observe this series, there exists a pattern. Okay, the only thing which is required in this case is to know the first two terms. Here in this case I am starting this series from 0. Okay, 0 and 1. In some of the cases in the questions it may explicitly be written as the first two terms are 1 and 1. It can be possible. Okay guys, so right now I am considering the first two terms are 0 and 1. So if you carefully observe this term, the third term, this third term is actually the sum of the last two terms. Okay, if you carefully observe, the third term is the sum of the first and the second term. Okay, so see, this one is coming with the summation of this 0 and 1, which leads to 1. Fine. Now if you carefully observe this term, the fourth term, which is actually 2, is actually the sum of the last two terms. So this is telling the sum of the two preceding ones. The one which is preceding, the two preceding one, these are the ones. Okay. So if you see carefully that these two is coming by the summation of this last two term, that is 1 plus 1, which leads to 2. I hope this is clear. Now if you observe this carefully, this particular term 3, how this 3 is coming is actually coming with the sum of the last two terms, which is 2 and 1, which leads to 3. And this is what Fibonacci series is. Carefully observe this particular expression, or you can say the statement. Actually I will be going to use this particular expression or the statement. Okay, and this is all about the Fibonacci series. And palindrome is quite simple. Again, it is something like you have been given a term and that term appears to be same when read from the forward direction or the backward direction. If you so Fibonacci, so palindrome, I am here using palindrome number. You may get palindrome word. Okay, so when we will be doing the chapter string manipulation, so the again the same question will hit, that check whether the word is palindrome or not. So here I am in this case using the number, but the concept remains the same, that palindrome is something like a word or a term which remains exactly the same when read from the forward direction or the backward direction. So for example, if you take this number 1221, so if you read it from the forward direction, it's 1221, and same when you read this term, when you read this number from the backward direction, again it will appear to be as 1221. So this one is what? This one is a palindrome number. Okay, and this particular code you actually need to write. I hope you understood that what Fibonacci series is and what palindrome is. Okay, now let's start the code of Fibonacci series first. So here in this particular code, what I'm going to write is to print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so first I need to initialize the variable. So as I've told you, you required the first two terms. So I am initializing the first term with 0 and the second term with 1. Okay, now I will be using a loop in order to print the first 10 Fibonacci numbers. So let me first print these two numbers first. Okay, then second, done. And here I am using this end argument. Okay, I hope you remember the significance of this end argument or parameter. Okay, and if you haven't watched that particular video, it's my request, access my playlist. It is being defined, or it is being explained on the playlist of Python fundamentals. Okay, so have a look to it. So fine, I have used end. Why? I just want to print the numbers, or want to print the things horizontally, okay, not vertically. That's why. Now it's time to use a loop, and here I will be using a for loop. Why? Because as I've told you, for is suitable for the counting one, and as I'm telling you that I would be going to print 10 numbers, so I've already used 2, so I need to write the for loop in such a manner that it will going to print 10 numbers, sorry, 8 numbers, because 2 numbers are already being used. So it means 2 terms. More significantly, I should use the term okay. So first 2 terms have already been printed. Now it's time to print the last 8 terms. So how much means what range I should write? 1 to 9, because the last term is not included, so it will give numbers from 1 to 8. Fine, and plus 2 will reach to 10 terms. Now we are getting the third term by the sum of the last 2 terms. So first plus second, okay, and let me print the third, and let's give this. Fine. Now let me just open my Paint in order to show you one very interesting thing. Okay, now if you observe 0, this is 1, so this will leads to 1, 2, 3. I think this much is okay. Initially this one is the first term, let me write as F, and this one is the second term, let me write it as second, S. Okay, F, S. Okay, so this is what? This is third, which is coming with the sum of this and this. Okay, so we got our third term. Now it's time to find the next term, which is this in this case. So how we are getting this? We are getting this with the sum of this 2 numbers. Now if you carefully observe that who is the first in this case, in this particular 2 terms, this one is the first. Clear? And who is the second? This one is the second. Clear? Now if you observe carefully, previously this particular term was the second term for the sum of this. Now this particular term is now becoming the first term for this term. So what should I need to do? I need to assign the second term value as the first and the third term value as the second for the one to get the next term of the Fibonacci series. Okay, I would be writing this same thing which I have told you, that now our first would be what? It would become, means our first term would be the second term, and our second term would be the third term, and the loop will go on. So let me save this program and execute it. Okay, third is not defined, it's a name error. Fine, we have got this error in our previous 2-3 videos also, so just copy this. Okay, it's a spelling mistake, no problem. It's good to have errors in the program. Why? Because while writing code you may face this type of simple errors, and just we have practiced a lot, so we got to know that this particular error is for a spelling mistake. Okay, now let me execute it, and see, we are getting the first 10 term, 1 0. See, this is 1. Okay, so now this is what? 1 plus 1 2. See how 3 is coming? 2 plus 1 3. How 5 is coming? 2 plus 3 5. How 8 is coming? 5 plus 3 8. How 13 is coming? 8 plus 5 13. How 21 is coming? 13 plus 8 21. And how 34 is coming? 21 plus 13, which leads to 34. And see, in total 10 terms have been printed. I hope Fibonacci code is quite clear to you. This is the main funda, you know. This one is the thing where actually the logic lies. What you need to do, you need to make the second term as the first term and the third term as the second term for the next iteration. And this is what this particular figure is telling us. See, now this one becomes the first and this one becomes the second. They were previously the second and the third term for this term. Okay, now in order to find these two, this second should become the first and this third should become the second, and this is how this code is being written. And I hope Fibonacci series is quite clear to you. Now it's time to write the code for palindrome. We have discussed a lot of codes related to numbers. So how we need to extract numbers, we need to extract digits from a numbers. We have discussed it a lot. We have even practiced different types of numbers, special numbers, neon numbers, something like that. So all those numbers are based on extracting the digits. So we know how to extract digits and what is the logic lies behind it. So it's my request, if you haven't watched this video, have a look to it, because as I've told you, all these videos are interlinked. Okay, the concepts are quite simple and these videos are interlinked. So if you haven't watched, if you are watching this video for the first time, my request again would be to watch it from the start. Okay, fine. So it's time to check whether a number is palindrome or not. So first we need to input a number. Okay, input a number, int input, enter a number, find original number. Let me keep it here. Now while number is greater than 0, now in this case I would be required a reverse number, and I would initialize it with 0 first. Okay, initially let it be 0. Now while num greater than 0, it's time to extract the digits. So digit is equals to number modulus 10. All these things have already been discussed in our previous 2 to 3 videos. So I am here now not going to discuss all these things, that what number modulus 10 would give us, because these things have already been discussed. Okay, fine. Now we need to remove that last digit, and how we would do that? Using this particular expression. Now see, this is the expression in order to reverse the number. Reverse number into 10 plus digit. Fine. This particular expression will actually help us to reverse the number. Okay, so after that we would get our reverse number, and we need to check whether that reverse number is equals to the original number. If it is, then it's a palindrome number. Print is a palindrome number, else is not a palindrome number. Done. Code is done. Palindrome code number is done. All these things have already been discussed. This one is the statement which actually helps us in the reverse of the palindrome number, and rest are quite simple. So what this particular expression is doing, I am giving it you as an homework. Execute this code on your notebook, not on your computer. Okay, I am here executing it. You will get the output, but try to execute this particular loop on your notebook. Try to execute each and every step. You will get to understand why this, how this particular expression is reversing the number. Okay, so it's an homework to you. Quite simple, you know. If you execute each and every step on your notebook, understand it, then definitely all these things are quite simple. Palindrome number. Okay, fine. Let me give a number. The number let me give as 1221. See, palindrome. It's a palindrome number. Fine. Let me execute it again, and this time I am giving a different number, which is not a palindrome number. See, it's not a palindrome number. The code is done. Simple. Okay. Again, the whole logic lies in this particular expression. Okay. These are quite simple. This has already been discussed. This one is the expression which is actually reversing the number. We have other ways too. In Python, Python provides flexibility. So the same code can be written in two or three lines. Okay. But since it's a beginning level, we need to develop our concepts, our logic. So that's why I'm using this particular approach. But again, telling you, these are not the only approach. You have lots of other approaches too. It's totally depend upon your practice. You may write the same code using different approach. The only thing which is required is that it is giving the correct output. Okay, with all the test cases. And that's all. Okay. So again, if you haven't understood any of the topic, any of the portion, write it on your write it in the comment section. I will try to clarify it. Okay. And that's all for today. Let's meet you in the next video with a new topic which is related to jump statement. Quite important, again, quite important topic, jump statement, break and continue. So we will discuss that particular topic in our next video. And that's all for today. Thank you very much.